Welcome back to Black Cat Crypto Club, everybody. My name is Drake, and this is my proof of life video. It's been a little bit since I've been on here, guys, and I apologize for that. I just have not felt very motivated to get on here. I've integrated Bitcoin so deeply into my life that when the price does nothing, neither do I. No, guys, but we are kind of in this sideways action where Bitcoin just seems like a stable coin at this point. But there has been some news going on, so I did want to jump on and kind of run through the past few weeks of everything with you guys. Of a lot of things, most of the big news that we've seen over the last week. So we are going to get into that. Probably the biggest thing with me not getting on, guys, has been, I feel like I've been neglecting the animals, these sanctuaries that I support. So if you guys can really help out in any way, guys, go over and help these guys out. This is Cloven Heart Farm Sanctuary. These guys, it's been so long since I've done a video that I haven't even had a chance to kind of spotlight these guys. But as you can see here, you can kind of go over, you can sponsor some of their residents over there. They do have a shop over here. And you can kind of donate, become a monthly supporter, all of these great ways to go over and help these guys out. So, if you can spare anything, please go over and help these guys out. They do amazing things for these animals. I do leave I'll leave the link to this page, their homepage, in the description of all my videos this month. So go over and help them out. And yeah, I really appreciate anything you can do on that front. Okay, so let's just jump right in, guys. A few weeks ago, probably right after, I think it was the day after I made my last video, Trump signed a tariff into action with Mexico, Canada, and China. And that sent the market just plummeting. And then the Monday afterwards, we rebounded because Trump kind of called it off for 30 days, put it on a pause for 30 days. But the interesting thing, guys, is he's continuing with these tariffs. This article is from just today. And, he's put a team into place where they're going to go through every entire nation in the world and kind of look at disparities and kind of put tariffs on every single nation where we have a deficit, which is pretty much the entire world. So what we saw with going back a few weeks when we saw him sign into action these tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico was Canada and Mexico came back with retaliatory tariffs. And it looked like there was just going to be a big tariff war, between, back and forth between the two. What ended up happening, well, first of all, the thing to note was that the day before Trump enacted these tariffs, there was a journalist that asked him, what is it that you want from Canada and Mexico to avoid these tariffs? What can they do? What can they bring to the table to avoid these tariffs? And Trump said, nothing. There's nothing that they can do. We're signing these in, and these tariffs are happening. And then, as I said, the following Monday, we saw Canada and Mexico actually, agreed to send troops to the border to secure the border a bit. And Trump put that on a pause. So obviously that wasn't quite true. There is something that these countries can do. There's something that Trump wants from these guys that will stop these tariffs, and so we did see a pause on those for the next 30 days or whatever it is left of that. And I think we will see some negotiating going on there. But he's continuing to push these tariffs on an ever expanding amount of countries. Actually, he said he'd tariff the UK, the UN, pretty much everybody. Everybody's on the chopping block for these tariffs. Now, whether this is good or bad for the US, I won't get into, but as I've always said, guys, the biggest bear case for me that I've seen over the last several years is that the US and the broader market, the world market goes into a recession or a depression. And what's scary is these tariffs are substantial enough that I think could possibly be the thing that sends us into that kind of thing. So, and that's really what the markets are uncertain about, right? So what we've seen since these tariffs, we did see a drop and then a rebound, but since those tariffs were enacted, that's when we've hit this sideways action where we've just really seen almost no price action at all. We've been kind of rebounding to right around $95,000 every single day. But the scary thing is that you look back on the 1930s and the Great Depression, and what really, really exacerbated the Great Depression was substantial tariffs by the U.S., like what Trump is kind of going after. So, whether it's good or not for the U.S., it could weaken the dollar. I think honestly, crypto and Bitcoin have a lot more going for it than the broader markets. I think the stock market has a lot more to lose than crypto and Bitcoin. That said, there is a lot of uncertainty around all of this. So that's kind of what we're seeing as far as price action goes. Okay, so moving on, we did, after those tariffs were kind of old news, we did see this happen. This was President Trump's crypto czar, David Atkins, hosts U.S.'s first press conference on Bitcoin and digital assets. And everybody got really excited about, this happening. And then it happened, and we saw a pretty substantial dump right after this crypto conference happened, because it was honestly a whole lot of nothing. These five guys got up and really kind of brown-nosed each other and the White House, but really didn't have anything much to offer. And if I'm completely honest, they brought up, they have departments of agriculture in this crypto council, and it just seemed like a whole bunch of bureaucracy, honestly. There wasn't a lot of news that they came out and said. It was just a meeting about, honestly, just bureaucracy at work. So obviously Doge isn't doing their job when it comes to things like this, but Department of Government bureaucracy is what the market saw, and we saw that in the price. So anyways, I do think this is kind of a good thing, but this is just business as usual for the government, just moving slowly, a lot slower than the crypto community enjoys. So we did have that happen. We also have seen this. This is the Senate panel. It says Senate panel grapples with who's to blame for debanking. So this is a big Senate debanking investigation that's been going on. The interesting things to note during these investigations was, and I watched a bunch of the video. We see Elizabeth Warren here, and what's really been interesting is to watch her go, she's in the hot seat for this, and she got up, and testified, that's horrible. Nobody should be debanked because of their ties with crypto, as if she wasn't at least partially responsible for that. But we see her quickly changing her tune now that she's being investigated. And we also see Jerome Powell singing that same tune, guys. He just testified for this Senate debanking committee this week, actually. And he said the same thing. We encourage people, you should never be debanked because of your ties with crypto. Meanwhile, Caitlin Long's bank, Custodia Bank, was debanked by the Federal Reserve. And they have a counter lawsuit against them. So Jerome Powell and Elizabeth Warren are flat out just lying because they feel that their pants are on fire, basically. So this is actually a really positive thing. We're kind of seeing people who have hurt the crypto industry over the past 4 years finally have to start taking responsibility for that. So positive news there, guys. In other news, we saw this, an American sovereign wealth fund was signed into existence for the first time ever, guys, which is pretty amazing because I'm actually surprised we've never had a sovereign wealth fund in the US before. But yeah, this article says an American sovereign wealth fund is risky, but not crazy. Now, of note here, guys, is these two people that you see right here and right here behind the president as he signs this sovereign wealth fund into existence. This is Scott Bessent. He's our Secretary of Treasury now. And over here we have Howard Lutnick. Now, the reason this pertains to Bitcoin so much is because these two guys are crypto fans, like really love Bitcoin. And so, you see this news, if you know who these guys are, if you are in the crypto space, you see this happening. What's going on, in my opinion, is that Trump promised a Bitcoin strategic reserve, right? And now he's gotten into office. I think he's realizing that there's a whole lot more red tape around that issue of instituting a reserve than he thought. But if he signs an executive order to make a sovereign wealth fund, there's no laws in existence that pertains to a sovereign wealth fund because we've never had one. So I think this is a way that the White House kind of sees a way to buy for the government to buy Bitcoin quicker, and not have to jump through all the hoops, or at least, get in, be able to buy Bitcoin quicker while it's at these prices, at least. But another thing with this sovereign wealth fund, guys, what a sovereign wealth fund is and how it differs from a government reserve is that a sovereign wealth fund trades in and out of investments. So it's an active investment pool for a country to make money for a company or a country. So the downside is that these guys will be trading in and out of certain things. And I believe this is where crypto as a whole makes a lot more sense for the government. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put anything but Bitcoin in a national reserve. Otherwise, where do you stop at that point? Putting Ethereum in a national reserve for Bitcoin is almost like buying Nvidia stock and putting it in a national reserve. So crypto as a whole, I really don't believe belongs in a national reserve, not XRP, not Ripple, not Solana, Ethereum. None of that really belongs in a national reserve, but in a sovereign wealth fund, those things definitely have a place. The downside of this is that they do trade in and out, whereas a national reserve holds. They typically buy and hold for long periods of time. So, but I do want to get into, again, these two guys that are running this sovereign wealth fund. They've been tasked to head this sovereign wealth fund. And I just want to jump over to a few videos to kind of give you guys an idea of how these guys think of crypto and Bitcoin. So we're going to go over to this first video. This is Howard Lutnick. Listen in.
I guess the easiest way to get a clear view of where Bitcoin is going over the next 5 years is take a look at the last 5. Right? The last 5, Bitcoin has been an outsider in the finance business, becoming closer and closer and closer. Right now, there's an ETF just starting to go a little bit mainstream, maybe a toe in the water of mainstream, but banks still can't clear it. Banks still can't transact in it. Banks still can't custodian it. Banks still won't transact in it, and they won't finance it yet. I think people misunderstand traditional financial service companies. They want to transact in Bitcoin. They want new asset classes to transact in. That's just a good thing. But they need the regulator to say it's okay. Right now, today, right? If a bank were to hold your Bitcoin, they would have to set aside their own money equal to that amount in sort of like in a jail. I mean, you'd say, well, that's crazy. The answer is, that's why they don't hold it. But if you let them hold it, if the regulatory environment was good, you will see all the traditional financial service companies, the big banks, the big brokerage companies, they're all going to go headfirst into Bitcoin pond. That's what's going to happen, and it's coming. It's a slow, steady process. But eventually, there's going to be a CFTC chair who says, you know what, Bitcoin is a financial asset and we're going to treat it as such. And when that happens, you're going to see Bitcoin move in a very, very strong, positive direction. So that's why I'm a fan of Bitcoin. It's going to go much higher. It always bounces around like any other financial asset, but ultimately over the next 5 years, as it gets invited into this party, up we go.
Okay, so you can kind of see that he was kind of talking a lot there about SAB 121, the rule that the SEC enacted that the banks really couldn't. It effectively made banks not be able to hold or custody Bitcoin and crypto. So since he made this video, that has been repealed. So we are kind of in that territory where banks are going to start doing this. But you can kind of see right in that video how much of a fan of Bitcoin Howard Lutnick is. And I have seen, he did speak at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville last year, where he said, in his words, that he owns a shitload of Bitcoin. So just to kind of show you guys what he's all about, I do want to jump over to this video. Now, I couldn't find this video on Fox or anywhere, but this is a really good video of Scott Bessent kind of showing what he thinks about Bitcoin and crypto. And I apologize for that last video too. It seems like I had the volume all the way up on both things, and it was probably a little quiet for you guys. So I do apologize for this. But yeah, listening to this video.
Been excited about the president's embrace of crypto, and I think it fits very well with the Republican Party. The ethos of crypto is about freedom, and the crypto economy is here to stay. The Democrats are running from it because they're trying to wash off the stench of Sam Bankman-Fried and his family's donations to the Democratic Party. So they're willing to take down a whole industry because of bad behavior on their part, bad behavior on one actor, and I think that everything's on the table with Bitcoin. And to me, one of the most exciting things about Bitcoin is for a generation of investors who maybe post the great financial crisis have been looking for investment opportunities, or maybe they'd soured on markets. Crypto is bringing in young people. It's bringing in the people who haven't participated in markets, and having a market culture in the U.S. and people believing that markets work for them is a centerpiece of capitalism. I've been excited about.
Okay, so you quickly get an idea of who's in charge of this sovereign wealth fund, and it's hard to believe that really that sovereign wealth fund is about anything other than Bitcoin and crypto, in my opinion. But not to say that they probably won't, invest in stocks and other companies and things. But I think you'd be hard pressed to say that sovereign wealth fund was not specifically enacted for the case of buying Bitcoin and crypto, in my opinion. So pretty big news there. Guys, I do want to jump over and show you this map. This is a map of 23 states now that have legislation being put forward to adopt state reserves of Bitcoin. So, we're all excited about this national Bitcoin stockpile or whatever, but the states have the same abilities, and nearly half of the United States is now voting on whether they are going to put Bitcoin in their state reserves. So that's super, super bullish as well. We did just see Wisconsin, who has put Bitcoin into their pension. We just saw them today report that they've bought, over $100 million worth of Bitcoin. So, states are going to be maybe even the bigger factor than a national reserve. Maybe not on a worldwide basis. I think, having a national reserve will kick off kind of that arms race, as Cynthia Loomis calls it, around the world to buy Bitcoin. But this is going to drive massive demand. And meanwhile, we see OTC desks just drying up further and further, guys. We've been saying that for about a year now, and they're getting low. Okay. So what happens when that hits zero and these ETFs and these states and whoever else has to buy spot on the market? It's going to be wild. Okay, we've got two last things. Actually, I do have one other thing that I am going to show you guys after this as well. But this is FTX repayments begin next week, guys. On the 18th, FTX is set to start redistributing payments. So, the first batch, it says here, is, kind of targets claims under $50,000. But guys, this is, we've been talking about this for quite a while as well. And it's been slow going. Just another testament to why crypto and decentralized finance is so much more superior than traditional finance bureaucracies that just move so slow. This has been over a year in really kind of finding out what these guys hold and redistributing it back to its rightful owners. So crypto moves a lot faster than that, we'll just say. Now, there is one other chart here. I didn't bring it up, but I do want to show you guys. Let me just find it. It's kind of showing who's buying and who's selling Bitcoin at this point. If I can find who it was. I had a picture of it here, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to bring it up for you guys. I should have remembered this before I started recording. Anyways, guys, the big thing about that chart that I wanted to show you guys was it was kind of a chart showing retail sales, buying and selling versus institutional buying and selling. And even just recently, institutions are loading up on Bitcoin while retail is really being shaken out. We've seen all of this FUD with the tariffs and all of this stuff, and it's to watch who's selling. It's retail that's getting shooken out here. So yeah, it is uncertain. Things are uncertain with these tariffs. And the price action is absolutely miserable, guys. Like I've said before, these sideways action times are the killer. It bores the hell out of retail and crypto, traders. Just absolutely bores us to death. And so these sideways action times are brutal. A lot of people are getting shaken out. I know, watching sentiment on social media, you would think that Bitcoin would be at like $10,000 right now. Sentiment is just absolutely horrible in the crypto community right now. And we're still almost at $100,000. It just doesn't make sense. And why that doesn't make sense is that the crypto community is the ones getting shaken out right now while institutions are loading their bags. So the hodlers out there, we're going to hold and hodl through this massive sideways boring time, and we will be rewarded for that, I believe. Not financial advice or anything, but we have a lot left to go in the cycle, guys, and we have a lot left to go. Let's just say that. Anyways, guys, that's about it for this video. I hope to get back on. I'll be better about kind of putting videos and everything together throughout the week, and hopefully have a better video with better audio quality and everything for you guys next time. But hang in there. I know it gets boring, but we will survive this, guys, and we'll be rewarded, like I said, for hodling. So until next time, guys, just hang in there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.